Well, governments across the globe are urging citizens to spend up and help ward off the effects of recession. We've seen this call supported by huge stimulus packages aimed at those most likely to open their wallets. But in many cases, this money was saved by consumers, eager to pay down debt and shore up their personal balance sheet. Well, Stephen Kirchner, economist from the Centre for Independent Studies, says that saving your cash in times like these is not such a bad thing, and he joins me now. Good morning, Stephen Kirchner. Welcome to Business Today.
Good morning.
Now, can you explain to us why governments are urging their citizens to spend up to ward off the effects of this recession?
Well, I think governments want to offset the natural tendency of households to increase their saving in response to the increased uncertainty that you get in the context of an economic downturn.
And under the well-known Keynesian theory, the paradox of thrift, saving during a downturn it's really thought to be problematic. Could you tell us why that is?
Well, I think from a Keynesian standpoint, the concern is that saving is somehow a leakage from the flow of income in the economy. But in practice, this isn't true. Saving actually goes into the financial system. It makes capital more abundant, and that actually supports investment spending and economic growth.
So you'd say that that theory is not necessarily valid in this current environment?
Well, I'm not sure that it's valid at any time. Economic theory doesn't change its validity with the business cycle.
So would you say that saving then would encourage or would strengthen the banking system then?
That's right. I mean, by increasing the availability of capital, you ease the capital constraints on financial institutions, and this supports their ability to maintain their lending.
Now, in Australia, we saw most who benefited from the government stimulus package save their bonuses. What do you think about that in terms of its effect on Australia's economy overall?
Well, this is actually a very common response to fiscal stimulus packages, especially when they're unfunded. When you have an unfunded fiscal stimulus, this means that the public sector is saving less, and this implies a higher future tax burden, and so often you see the private sector increasing its saving in order to offset that increase in the future tax burden.
And so given the greater levels of consumer debt in this day and age, is it likely that consumers are paying off debt with their savings rather than just hoarding this cash?
Well, the data certainly points in that direction. If you look at the national accounts data, there's been a big increase in the household savings ratio. There's also been a reduction in private sector credit growth in relation to personal lending. So the data certainly points in the direction of the fiscal stimulus being largely saved rather than spent.
Now, the recent bout of stimulus packages, would you suggest that going forward down into the future that there would be higher taxes back on citizens around the world, and that the danger of that, would that encourage people to save more of their cash as well?
Yeah, that's right, and this is why fiscal stimulus measures tend not to be very effective, that really what you have is a substitution of private saving for public sector dissaving.
And so just looking at reducing debt, they're also increasing their disposable incomes, isn't that correct?
Yes, if you think of disposable income as being what's left over after tax and interest payments, then reducing debt will by definition increase disposable income. So by increasing saving, households are strengthening their balance sheet, and this in turn actually strengthens their ability to consume.
Now, looking at the recession, you say that recessions are not necessarily made worse by savings as long as financial systems put those savings to work. Can you elaborate on that point?
Yeah, so what we really want is for saving to go into the financial system, especially in an environment where the balance sheets of banks are somewhat impaired. Increased saving in the form of increased bank deposits, for example, actually eases the capital constraints on financial institutions. So in the current environment, this is actually helping banks maintain their lending and lending at lower rates than might otherwise be possible.
All right, so simplifying this, for consumers, the aim would then be to clear debt and spend conservatively during these times then, wouldn't it?
Well, I think that's the advice that most individuals would get from their financial advisors, and that's probably somewhat better advice than the advice they get from politicians.
All right, Stephen Kirchner, we'll have to leave it there, but thanks for your time today.
Thank you.